Welcome back to the Morehammer podcast, your weekly podcast where we talk all things Warhammer and hobby from the past week. This week we look at all the best changes to Age of Sigmar 4th Edition, and we talk rumours of Warcry possibly turning into a Mordheim reboot. And of course, we will end the show on our usual Warhammer 20 questions. I am one of your hosts, wargamingluke, but joining me this week is my amazing co-host, Simon, aka Hobby Waffle. How are we doing, bud?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. On me on tonight, and
I was going to say, holding down the fort.
Yeah, you didn't trip me up with a dodgy intro this time, so we're all right.
No, given it's only the two of us tonight, I wasn't going to bully you with that one. I'll wait till Ben's on his own with me now. I'll get it on him when he's on his own with me. Yeah, Ben's not here this week, guys. Sadly, he's had to back out. Unfortunately, we didn't have a guest planned out for this week, so it's just me and Si holding down the fort. So hopefully, we'll be able to hold it down for you. But this week, before we get into things, just sort of off the top, a bit of housekeeping. We're always, of course, on YouTube with the visuals and audio, but if you want to jump over to Spotify, you can follow us over there. If you're at the gym, things like that, where you don't want YouTube playing on your phone or whatever, it's just audio over there. Go and follow us over there and download the podcast. And we've got all the episodes. You can go and check us out over there. As well, and of course YouTube as well. Please do throw likes to us, guys, and especially as it's just me and Si this week, leave us comments, pick us up, please do.
Yeah,
bring the fire. Yeah, that's it. But other than that, I think also Discord, always forget to mention the Discord. Please do join us over in the Discord as well. Links are all in the description below. Me, Si and Ben, and a lot of the guests we've had on over the last number of months are in there, and along with a lot of the community, and we have chat during the week, so please do join us there as well. It's good fun over there. But other than that, even though it's just the two of us this week, Si, I suppose we can do any hobby updates we have for the last week. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
Mine's pretty brief, to be honest. I mean, I know I did actually have a game last week, because I forgot the time before I had linked up the two, but I had a game last week, the last game with my Seraphon, to get practice in 2,000 points, Age of Sigmar, before heading to the event, which will be this next coming weekend, yeah. So what will happen is the next show, guys, I'll be able to give you an update as well on everything that happened at the event for me for Age of Sigmar, so that should be pretty cool. I'll let you know how that went, and if you do want to follow me on socials or whatever, what I'll probably do over the weekend is I'll post updates on each of the games I have and kind of how the narrative is forming at the event. I'll let you know how it goes. But otherwise, I did play against my friend with his Fireslayer army during the week. As I say, 2,000 point game. It was a fun game, but sadly, Fireslayers are still quite old rules-wise, and I think it was one of our videos a little while ago, Si. We did the short topic on armies that we'd like to be fleshed out for
yeah, you mentioned
edition.
Fireslayers, didn't you?
And I said Fireslayers because ever since First Edition, or whenever they came in, I think it's First Edition, they haven't had anything really added at all in terms of unit choice and variety.
Yeah, they need more rules and shoes.
Yeah. And it was quite scary because my first army in Age of Sigmar in First Edition was Fireslayers, and I haven't since I scrapped that army and sold them off years and years ago. It's the first time I've interacted with them as an army in a game since then, and it's kind of scary how similar if they are, which is a bit sad really for Fireslayer players. So
how old is their battle tome?
Yeah.
Is it?
The current battle tome, I'm not sure. Quite old though. Quite old. As far as I'm aware.
Third edition?
I believe so, but I'm not that up to date with Fireslayers on when their last battle tome was. But I think so. But people in the comments can let me know about that one. But I'll be honest, having after playing against them, I wouldn't be surprised if they hadn't, because like I say, it didn't seem like they'd been updated a hell of a lot alongside other current factions, especially my Seraphon. They just got updated end of last year, so I kind of felt a bit unfair balance wise, but oh well, it was still a fun game. Lots of nice painted models on the table and things, so that was cool. But other than that, I've pretty much just got the other. I've started painting my Salamander, or Spawn of Kotek, whatever you want to call it. That's the last thing to paint in the army, so will be done before the event, and then that's my whole 2,000 points of Seraphon ready to go. So yeah, all good. But
cool.
what about you?
Something else, then?
Yeah.
So hobby-wise for me this week, I've not done an awful lot of Warhammer stuff actually. Did have a little bit of paint on the tree man, not too much. But then I've been doing some Star Wars Shatterpoint stuff. So obviously it was May the 4th weekend, just gone. So I've got and built up the Bad Batch Clone Force 99, and Bad Batch ended this week as well on Disney Plus. It was its final ever episode as well. So I
I
thought it
haven't
was
really
quite fitting
watched
that we do some.
any of the animated ones yet, particularly.
You said you haven't watched them.
No, sadly. I do need to, though. I've heard they're very good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, early. And we're going off track a bit here. Early Clone Wars stuff. Some of it's really good. Some of it's a bit iffy. The last season of Clone Wars was phenomenal.
Okay.
Rebels is really good, and the Bad Batch is probably, in my opinion, people might disagree with me in the comments, but some of the best Star Wars TV we've had for a long time.
I've heard a lot of people say Bad Batch is top notch. So yeah, I'll have to get onto that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
yeah, that's what I've been doing. Shatterpoint stuff, really.
Yeah.
No games, just been painted some terrain today as well. Done a bit more of the Shatterpoint terrain because I want to get all that finished. It's halfway done, so I thought I might as well try and get it finished.
What comes with Shatterpoint, the terrain wise? I can't remember. Like, what are you painting up?
You get some
like the barricades.
You get some bridges and some ladders, but you also get some like well, they're painted up as desert theme in the box, but they're like buildings. So there's like a little radar station. There's a couple of sort of hub units. They look like Imperial hub units, and the top walkways on them all like the Imperial grating and stuff like that. You get a fair bit of terrain in the box.
Bit of variety.
And you get a lot of miniatures in the core box as well. It's pretty good.
Nice. Awesome. But yeah, also, so I did do an unboxing of the Bad Batch as well. I've put it actually on the community tab for the on Morehammer.
Yeah,
so
thank
if you
you
want
for
to
that.
check out the unboxing, go and check it out because it does a good unboxing of it. But otherwise, guys, hobby updates out of the way. It's time for the news. We've been having sort of new models revealed from Age of Sigmar, ready for the new box set for 4th edition. 1 week Stormcast Eternals, 1 week Skaven. And I did call it last week, Si. I said I thought after we had the Warplock Engineer,
you did
we
say
might have
that,
the Jezails. Yeah, I thought we might well do. And we did have the new Jezail models revealed. I think we've got 3 different sculpts possibly, which are here.
Yeah, we have.
Pretty cool. I wouldn't say that they're like, compared to the old models, like a revolution, but I don't think you can really do that much more with them. I don't know what you think.
They just sort of refined some already good models, haven't they? And they've probably just been scaled up ever so slightly. But I do like them. Yeah, they're really cool. Shoot, yes.
And they've got a rule where if they sit still as well, they can add 1 to hit rolls, which is kind of cool. And then obviously I think we saw from the engineer a couple of weeks back, he kind of can give them buffs if he's with them. And something we'll be talking about this episode as well. We're going to be kind of taking the top sort of changes and things to Age of Sigmar 4th edition, and one of them was, which we'll get on into more detail on that later, but one of them is obviously the way you can build the army now. In 4th edition, you can kind of take separate regiments with specific heroes leading certain regiments. They give really nice buffs, and they can take, if you take like certain units under that hero that kind of fit their sort of command style, aka the Warplock Engineer and the Jezails, you'll get like nice buffs and extras and things, and they link together nicely, which is very thematic. Pretty cool. But yeah, nice variety to the new Jezail models. And exciting to kind of see what else is released. Also, just to add to this, guys, I'll take that down now because we don't really need to be looking at that. But they also revealed that I believe it's not next weekend, the weekend after, is that right? 17th, I want to say, of May.
16th and 17th, yeah, they're doing a reveal show. I think it's at the Dallas Open, and it sounds like they're going to reveal the entire box and the name of the box as well. I'm still going for Vermin Doom. I've put my money on that one, but I might be wrong.
For the name, you mean, for the box? Yeah, they said they're going to obviously reveal everything, probably be a nice new trailer and whatever. So we'll react to that, of course, guys, the day afterwards, or the Monday afterwards, as we always do. It's
just going to be a Leviathan equivalent, isn't it, for Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, basically. I think we're going to get a lot in this box as well. It sounds really nice.
And judging by what we've seen so far, everything's going to be pretty spectacular as well. The prosecutors, the warp locks,
I mean, what do you think we haven't seen really yet that will be in it? Obviously, 2 heroes.
The hero on the giant rat. We had the Stormcast guy from the Ruination Chamber on the Looks like a Griff Charger, doesn't it? Rat
Mm,
Ogres, I think, is one.
yeah,
And then perhaps something for the Stormcast, maybe. And maybe Rat
mm,
Swarms we haven't seen either. That would be my
yeah,
guess.
yeah. That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see the rest of it. It's going to be
It's going to
a
be a
blowout
chunky one.
weekend. Yeah, and then they've also said, guys, that for that US Open, there is on the Saturday as well. They're going to basically do other reveals that aren't Age of Sigmar based. So I can't remember the exact ones. I want to say
Is that the one?
was,
Is that the one on the 16th and 17th? Then is it?
yeah. I believe on the 18th. They said that they're going to do other reveals that aren't
Yeah. So
based
it's
on Age of
Horus
Sigmar.
Heresy, Necromunda, Legions
40k.
Imperialis, and 40k, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was just those four. So it won't be a massive reveal event. It's just going to be a few extra bits for them to add on to the back of the
We'll have to do
Sigmar
some
reveal.
predictions next week.
Yeah, I think guys will do that. Well, we're going to do some stuff for Mental Health Week, so join us for that as well. It's going to be a really important week to get the awareness out there. But other than that, we will do some, I think, like you just said, some predictions. That'd be pretty cool for that event. But otherwise, that kind of moves us off our intro news topic there. But the main topic we wanted to discuss this week, for the last number of weeks, obviously we've had the model drops for sort of like revealing new models for Stormcast and Skaven for the new box set. But we've also had at least 1 or 2 articles a week sort of revealing the new changes and different sort of new additions to 4th edition. And we thought we'd kind of wait really rather than doing it weekly, because we don't tend to discuss rules much on this channel. Technically, we don't like to get into too much of that, and we're not an Age of Sigmar specific podcast, so we don't want to get deep dive too much. So what I wanted to do is to leave it until the end of all of those reveals, which it looks like we've had the majority of now, and sort of collect our favourites, or the community's favourites in this case, to put together to just have a little look at and give thoughts on. And what I actually did end of last week, if you what I'll do actually, guys, I'll leave a link in the description and maybe in the comments to the Reddit post that I put up, which I asked a question on the Age of Sigmar Reddit group, which got a lot of traction, a lot of people involved on it, just to ask basically what is your favourite update or change to the rules or anything like that for 4th edition. And I've taken some of the best from that and kind of taken, a lot of people have sort of duplicated what other people have said, so I've taken sort of the top ones, if you like, and written them down so we can sort of work through them, and it's sort of communities involved there as well. So we'll kick it off essentially with the first of which I'll name out everybody who's kind of given their suggestions, if you like. So Legitimate Put 4756 says, I think my single favourite change is the wound counting. Just counting up wounds on the side of a unit and pick a model to remove when you reach the wounds characteristic. It's beautiful. So one thing to bring up with this is that wound count is now actually health instead of wounds. So they've just basically changed that. And now all of the health, I guess, points that come off, it's not on individual models. It's now just on a whole unit, which does make things far easier in general. I think it's just a lot of these obviously are like what's the correct wording for, like, not ease of life changes, like
they're just simplifying things, aren't they?
Yeah, basically simplifying things for people.
Streamlining rules.
Streamlining is probably the best way to put it. And obviously stuff like changing the name from wound to health, just any newcomers to the game, it just makes a lot of easier sense. And if you're counting down for the whole unit, it's like any other rules as well that mention a unit's health. It's easier to kind of figure out what that means rather than saying wounds on a specific model, which becomes more complicated, I suppose. And it also means that if you have multiple wound larger models in a unit, you don't have to do things like in the past with Sigmar. If I've got a line of models, if I make the wrong decision basically and take wounds off or health in this case off a specific model, I accidentally can put it on the wrong model and it can break coherency and leave a bit of a gap. So in this case, you can just kind of reduce wounds on the whole unit, and as the wounds are getting reduced, you can take off the models as you go, and it just works that way. It's a lot easier. It prevents a lot of those kind of mistakes. So the second suggestion added in, and lots of people on the actual post also kind of duplicated this opinion on this one. So
it's
Vengeful Jan,
is it?
Say again.
It's not the rats thing, is it? I saw a lot of comments.
No, you'd be surprised. I'll say that one in a minute. But there were a lot of people that did that as well. The same. Excited about Skaven. But Vengeful Jan puts in magic, prayers, and manifestations. As a 40k player, I am very jealous that you guys actually get a whole phase where your wizards can choose to cast from a selection of spells, whereas in 40k, our casters are relegated to one power based on what t-shirt they decided to wear that day. And he also said, I am so stoked churning through my old Dominion box and my old Spire of Dawn boxes. Gonna build 80 Skaven, then add whatever else comes in the new launch box. That's awesome, dude. We'll be excited to kind of see what happens.
So am I right in thinking though you can now choose any endless spells?
I believe so. So yeah. So what I've noted down here. So you can now select a spell, lore, and manifestation lore for your entire army. So what it used to be, just for me to kind of explain, because I know I've played probably a bit more than yourself for Sigmar. It used to be a wizard would choose, or it is currently, I should say, for 3rd edition, a wizard would choose a specific lore of magic from your battle tome.
Yeah.
And you could pick however many spells that wizard's allowed to pick from that lore.
Yeah.
But now you can just pick the lore and you can use any from that lore that you choose, which is
it'll be interesting to see if there's any restrictions, like certain armies can't pick a certain magic lore. That'll be interesting to see how they do that. So just whack my microphone, never mind. It'll be interesting to see how they control that and how they restrict that. But yeah, it does sound quite interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people on the post have mentioned that. They're saying we haven't seen yet. They haven't mentioned, because obviously mine, for example, Seraphon, rely a lot on magic. So like a Slan. It'll be interesting to see that, because they're saying you can have access to a lore, but for especially like Lumineth, a lot of people have mentioned them as well. They've got the 4 elements, haven't they? I'm not that familiar with Lumineth, but from what people have been saying, and obviously very magic and heavy magic based army. You're bound to still have 4 separate laws of the elemental magic. So you imagine, can certain heroes then, are they going to give Lumineth those sort of factions?
You're going to give them access to all the laws and stuff.
Yeah, because you'd think otherwise it's a bit restrictive for those kind of armies, maybe. Which is strange, because obviously you get access to more spells within a lore, but then for armies like that, it could be kind of anti-helpful to them, if you like. But in terms of the manifestations, endless spells, you used to just pay for a single endless spell, take that in your army, and certain armies might only have access to certain endless spells. Whereas now you can just take a certain manifestation lore and you get access to so many within that, and you don't have to pay to take, at least as far as I'm aware, you don't have to pay to take specific endless spells. You can just choose one on the fly from that lore that you've chosen and just summon it onto the field, which
it does seem like a much better way of doing things, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of people excited for that, because obviously literally, to be fair, the one reason I haven't taken endless spells in a lot of my games is for that exact reason. Trying to fit them in points wise, and it's just not as fluid. Whereas now I think I'll be tempted to pick up more endless spells and start playing them in the armies. So yeah, looking forward to that. The only other thing I've noted down for that one is that I had actually had trouble with this against the Fyreslayers last week. Chris, my friend for the Fyreslayers, took a few different manifestations, and I had it was actually his priests that were bringing these in. I didn't have a priest that could actually get rid of them, so I had no way to get rid of the endless spells. So if he managed to manifest them, I couldn't stop it. There's no way to do it.
The world wins everywhere.
Yeah. So unless I was to take priests. Whereas in this new edition, they're allowing you to basically interact with manifestations, even if you're not a wizard, to try and get rid of them and things like that, which, makes so much more sense. But moving on to the next one, Soros Oren says, I really like the 3-inch combat range. I think it will stop the ridiculous conga lines from forming. Definitely. Otherwise, just very interested to see how this game operates all together. That's fair enough. I know you mentioned this before we even started, Si.
This is an example of the streamlining again, isn't it? So everything is combat range 3 now. So if you're in that range, you consider to be in combat. Is that right?
Yes. So now when Well, yeah. So basically, like anything that. So, but I'll explain what it is now before Fourth Edition. So it's weapon specific. So, well, I suppose let's say about the actually interacting with combat. So at the moment, you have to stay away from 3 inches from everybody. But then even when you get within 3 inches of somebody in your class that's in combat range, you can't necessarily actually attack them, and it creates these weird kind of gaps in combat and things, and people are blocking enemy lines and things with movement, which is why Age of Sigmar is a very movement-based game. So it'll stop a lot of that messing around. And now, once you're within that 3 inches, you can attack. So they're scrapping things like spears behind your lines to get more attacks in because they've got more range. Everything's 3 inch range for your attacks, so it's far simpler. I totally agree, and I've got to admit it's one of my favorite changes as well. It keeps it far simpler. And instead now of spears compared to like normal swords having more range, now they've got interesting rules added which make them more thematic. So if you get charged and you have a unit of spears, you get -1 extra rend basically to your weapons against the charging unit because you've got a unit of spears. Which I think is way more thematic, and I've always thought they should add that instead of just having the range. I think it's way more thematic and makes way more sense in my opinion. So looking forward to seeing how that works.
I saw a lot of people commented the same thing as well, didn't they? They said that they were all impressed with this new range. So
yes, yeah. So I think there were at least 3 or 4 other people on the post who agreed with the same thing. And are looking forward to that. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that sort of unfolds and test it out during the game, I guess, as well, is the one thing. As it will be with a lot of these changes. H8 says the counter charge strategy and power through are both awesome. The amount of counterplay built into so many aspects are going to make for some really interesting and fun games. So they've the rules designers have mentioned how they want to like add in more that you can do with like strategies and command abilities in your opponent's turn as well as your own, so you can like counter with more stuff.
So reactions basically.
Yeah, and they've kind of refined what the reactions mean and when you can do them. Like it's now end of a phase for reacting and things like that. So, for example, the 2 that our friend has mentioned here, counter charge. You can at the end of the phase pay 2 command points and charge your opponent. So after they've done all of their charges in their own charge phase in their turn, you can then choose one of your units that's out of combat that's within range to charge, and they can charge in after, which is going to create some really crazy kind of like strategy and things like that. It's going to be really fun. And I think for some specific factions, I can see that probably playing in quite hard.
You can just imagine a wave of clamrats hitting some Stormcast shields and then a counter charge. That's going to be pretty. You could recreate that moment from the trailer, couldn't you?
Definitely. And the way. One of the things that I don't think we'll have mentioned on here, but I can add it in now, the way they've changed a lot of the rules as well, your command points are going to be a lot more precious. So the fact that
I did read that.
So the fact that 2 command points to do that is costly. So you've got to really make sure that you're getting there.
And am I right in thinking there's no way, once you've spent your command points, there's no way of getting them back, is there? You're not going to be generating.
I don't believe so. No,
you're not going to be generating command points like you could previously.
Not as easily as before, no, definitely not. Because this edition, like, there's so many easier ways that, like, obviously they're scrapping hero actions. Hero actions, you were able to generate extra command points and things like that.
Yeah, they said they're taking that away, aren't they? It's going to be hard.
Away, so that it's going to be much harder, much harder.
Which is good.
It is good. Makes you think a bit more strategically about it, I suppose. The other one that he mentions was power through. This is another one that you can use. Basically, you can choose a unit in combat that has more health than your opponent's unit, and you can push through with a move action after you've caused D3 wounds. So it represents your unit being obviously bigger than your opponents and overpowering them.
Just basically bulldozing your way through.
You are literally
like that as well.
Yeah, and you can actually, I believe I read that you can actually use the movement to push through and end out of combat. So you can cause D3 wounds, you can charge, be in combat range, cause D3 wounds, and then move through the other side, which I think's just awesome. Which we haven't really seen that before, I don't believe, in other editions. So that's
cool. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how that plays out.
As you was describing that, then in my head, all I could see was a Stormcast Annihilator
Yeah,
or one of the Hammer guys just pounding their way through a load of clan rats and squishing them, and like, right, okay, who's next? That's what
yeah,
that sounds like.
yeah. And it's almost kind of a way. It's almost like a bit of consolidation as well, because you don't really have that at the moment. So um, it'll be interesting to see how people use that to kind of push away from combat as well. But yeah, just
Oh,
a cool
this
one
is
to
going
bring
to
up.
cost me so much money.
You've already confessed that you're probably going to pick up the new box set, so
Yeah.
but you'll be interested in this one, Si, as well. It's very simple as well. So it is Letholdus 13, 13, 13, 13. Just says rats. And there were
Yes.
like multiple
Yes,
other
yes.
people on the same post that just literally said, "Can't wait for rats.
There were
Can't wait for more
many,
Skaven."
many comments, weren't there, for people
Yeah,
saying rats?
yeah. So I think me and Si definitely agree with that. I've been waiting for new Skaven for ages, and I'll be excited to see that. They're the sworn enemy of my old enemy of my Seraphon lizard men. And I do love to see new Skaven coming out. That I'm very excited for that. So definitely, my friend, I agree with you there. And we've got Jamuel Saxon 94, great name. Spearhead looks nice. And there
Yeah.
were again a lot of other people on the same post saying they can't wait for this. So for anybody who doesn't already know, we have spoken about this previous episodes a little bit or touched on it. All of the start collecting boxes are now going to be put into Spearhead boxes. And Spearhead is also going to be a new kind of Combat Patrol-esque way to play smaller games, smaller, quick coffee table, lunchtime length games
It's
of
like an
Sigmar.
army in a box ready to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
In
And
theory.
yeah, basically. And having read up on even more on this today, because I hadn't done the full read up on it, I'm even more excited about this now. To be fair, even compared to like Combat Patrol, they sort of, if you're familiar with that, guys, they released Combat Patrol boxes, and they just put the rules in Combat Patrol boxes that you'd get in the codexes, or at least slightly simplified versions. Whereas looking at this with the Spearhead boxes, they've actually purposefully gone through each Spearhead box to make sure that they are balanced to play against each other, and they give you slightly different rules or war scrolls for the models or units you get in that army to actually suit the game of Spearhead. So you get unique abilities on those war scrolls just for the game of Spearhead, as a way to balance it out. So, like, if you've got, I think one of the things I read is that if you've got like a monstrous creature per se in your certain Spearhead, there'll be a certain rule for that. But then in another person's, they might have like more sort of numbers of models, as opposed to like just monstrous creatures. And the way to balance it out is that, for example, some of these units are getting I think it's called reinforce rule, which is specific to Spearhead. Where you can, if that unit dies, you can pay so much or whatever to like bring them back later in the game as like reinforcements. So you can bring that same unit back, and that's how they kind of balance out against other box sets getting possibly more in their box points wise, I guess, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. It's looking ahead, isn't it? And stuff like that.
Yeah. And as always, like Combat Patrol was, same sort of dealio with any newcomers. It's going to be great for newcomers.
Yeah.
I imagine you, Si, because I know you don't play like really any Sigmar particularly. So like for you, maybe Spearhead could be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at Spearhead, and not only is it great for newcomers as well, if you want to try a new army. So if you like,
Yes.
you're playing Seraphon, obviously. If they bring out a load of new Fire Slayers or something like that, for example, or I don't know, you suddenly there's a new Caradron Overlords unit, and you think, I've always wanted to try Sky Dwarfs. If you the start collecting box is just a perfect way, well, not start collecting, Spearhead is a perfect way of trying that army out. And if you like it, then you could then expand into the main game. But if not, at least you've got an army in a box. It doesn't need balancing, doesn't need anything else. It's just ready to play.
Definitely, it's another thing I was going to bring up. So I mean, you've nailed it on the head. Just a great way if you do happen to be listening or watching this, guys, and you're looking to get into Sigmar and you haven't done it before, or like Si said, you want to try out a different faction, but you don't want to invest too much in it. This is going to be an absolutely perfect way. And any of my old viewers who played skirmish based games and only like the shorter sort of scale games, this is going to be perfect for you. So definitely, I advise checking those out. And from what I've heard, the new starter set for 4th edition with the Stormcast Skaven, they are designed individually, those two sides, to be spearheads. So you're
Oh, I
going to
didn't
be able
know
to
that.
take,
That's
yeah, which
interesting.
is what I was going to say to you, because I know you're possibly going to pick up the new starter set. So from that box, you'll have two spearheads to use as well, with spearhead rules.
Interesting.
So just a little added thing there for anybody who's looking into that as well. But
Means I've got to paint it
moving
all.
on. Yeah, I know, that's the only trouble in it. But the other thing actually, sorry, that I didn't mention with that, they're also releasing in the starter set for the new edition, for spearhead play, like decks for twists, decks of cards for twists to add to each of your spearhead games, and other things to add, like throw in battle tactics randomly into the games, things like that. So almost like 40k, the way they've brought in with their Leviathan set and all that, you had all the nice new cards, which I really enjoyed about 10th edition. They're now adding that in for Sigmar as well, similar sort of things, so be really cool to see. Andromalek 2556 says battle rolls are gone. I felt it was somewhat restrictive to build around 3 battle line units, specifically if they were bad, or having to make generals that aren't great just to unlock a unit as battle line. Yeah, I was mentioning to you, Si, before we started about this. There's a new way you can actually like build your armies as well, which we'll get onto in a moment as well. But also worth noting, so this kind of ties on to what he was just saying about taking the way you build your armies now for Sigmar. Pommes Fritz says, I love that heroes lead battalions of units that make sense to their lore and aesthetics. I missed that from the War Scroll battalions that went away in 3rd edition. Completely agree. This is, again, one of my favourite things that they've changed in for 4th edition, the way you build your armies. We already touched on this earlier, Si. So
certain heroes unlock certain battalions, don't they?
Yeah, so you used to obviously have your battalions and things. Now you take regiments, and because much like 10th edition is 40k now, battle lines have been scrapped, so you don't have to take troop units as a baseline to then unlock other extra things that you can take within your battalions and regiments. Now it's just you can take whatever you want, but if you do and you don't take regiments, you'll just be at a disadvantage to your opponent who takes regiments, which we'll dig into that a little bit later on. But in terms of, especially myself, and I know you are more so as well, if you're more of a narrative kind of player, this, for me, totally works.
Yeah, it's
Adding
brilliant.
in, yeah, the fact that you can create the regiments that are thematic to your, and tie in your normal units that you choose with certain heroes. So we were saying earlier, obviously, the warp block engineer, I'm going to imagine that you get benefits if you take a regiment with him as your hero and Jezail's in with him. You'll get like extra buffs, or like,
So if you're
that
going
will
to
actually
go
count as a
you're going to
regiment.
be a certain clan theme, and it's going to be beneficial for you and potentially unlock more units.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm really interested to kind of see, obviously, when we get the new battle terms or indexes, whatever they're going to call the free ones, what individual ones you get and how thematic they've really gone for it. Just like thinking about my own Seraphon, just like what's going to be specific to the slam. Like, will Temple Guard kind of tie in with him? Skink units probably, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to see. From Anfortus Rex says, I like the emphasis on comeback mechanics with the twists and underdog bonuses, and making double turns much less of an automatic choice. Hopefully should make for more dynamic games. Now, I got a lot of hate for this a while ago, Si. We did our
I know.
yeah, I know. I talking about double turns, and people really criticizing me for the way I was talking about double turns, but I think it definitely goes without saying that I know a lot of my friends that have backed out of Sigmar and haven't come back to Sigmar. They've been put off by the priority system in Sigmar and the double turns and the way they work. Because your opponent, if they win the priority roll every round, if they have the opportunity to take a double turn, they will do it a lot of the time, and you just don't. You get fed up and whatnot, and you can just get absolutely battered, basically.
You stood there not doing anything for 20,
Yeah,
30 minutes while somebody's
quite a long
tonking you
time,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. I mean, if you do play enough Sigmar, you do kind of come to realise that you don't have to take the double turn. There can be a lot of strategy in not taking it. But if you're not playing the game that much and you only drop into it now and again, people won't see it that way. So for a double turn now, you can either take a double turn and you give up, basically what they've done now is you give up choosing a battle tactic. So battle tactics are like your secondary missions, if you like, per round.
Yeah.
So whereas normally in a round, at the beginning of a round, your turn, you can choose a battle tactic. If you choose to take the double turn, you're not allowed to take that. So basically, you're either going for the double turn, which means obviously you can just kill more of your enemy units before they get a chance to attack you back, and you can go for that. Or you give your opponent the priority, and you get to choose the battle tactic, and you can go for more victory points, because you're obviously getting more victory points from your extra battle tactic or secondary objective. So I think that definitely helps balance it out more, because it gives you way more of a decision. Do I want to go for more VP or do I want to go for more kills? Like, what's that? At that point in the game, what's
so there's no tactical element to it, isn't there? Which makes it a lot more interesting.
Exactly. So yeah, very interesting stuff, and look forward to kind of seeing how that sort of comes into the game, I suppose. The other thing that you did mention is the new underdog mechanic. So the player, basically, when you're building your list, as we were just talking about, the player with the fewest auxiliaries, which is basically if you have any models or units that you take in your list outside of regiments, they're called auxiliaries. And if you basically, when you come to start a game, if your opponent has more auxiliary units than yourself, then you can. So if you have the fewest auxiliaries on your roster, you get an extra CP per round for that game.
Yeah.
Which, I suppose if you want, you're basically rewarded for building a more thematic army with your regiments. Because obviously you should probably tie your heroes to your units. Makes sense. One thing I will say about that, by the way, I don't know if you played much 10th Sci for 40k.
Not an awful lot, no.
No, but like they've now made it again so that your heroes are actually built into units. So a lot of the aura abilities, it's not necessarily range, any unit within range now. It's more just the HQs. You have to add them into a specific unit for that unit to benefit from their aura abilities.
Oh, from the bubble, yeah.
Which I know a lot of people in the 40k scene don't like. I like the thematic side of that, but it does kind of restrict compared to what it used to be, where it's no longer an aura for different units. It's just benefits one mostly. Whereas I think what they've done with the new edition of Sigmar is slightly better. By putting a hero in a regiment, their abilities then favour everything in that regiment rather than just
like the individual unit.
Yeah, so I think that does work better. But next one, so Story Wonka says, I like the new weapon tag stuff. It's a nice little design space and collapses a lot of different abilities into an easy to read tag, as well as allowing some easy differentiation between different profiles. So all they've basically done, we'll keep this one simple, they've collapsed multiple abilities into one easy to read tag, which they've kind of done in 40k as well now. And you're not having like 100 different names for basically the same keyword or ability.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just like it's all under one banner. Because Sigmar 3rd edition and previous editions, you've basically got the same ability on a unit, but like it's named 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
So just
that needed sorting out, so
yeah.
It's good that they've done that.
Yeah, exactly. So worth mentioning that one. A few people did mention that one, to be fair. Ramjam says, hard to choose lots of good ones, but I really enjoyed reading about new and much better Path to Glory. I'm with you on this one, dude. So more actual campaign than beginner intro stuff is what he's basically saying. So he's saying that, so what Age of Sigmar used to be a bit more fleshed out. So each of your units on a Path to Glory campaign, narrative campaign, they used to kind of get a lot more upgrades and a lot more fleshed out, whereas 3rd edition they kind of condensed that a bit, and your warlords weren't able to actually even really upgrade properly like your other units, whereas now it's just everything can. They get a much more fleshed out kind of like ability tree and things added in. So I think it's going to be even more fleshed out and even better for narrative players. So that's awesome.
I know you're a big fan of Path to Glory as well, aren't you? So
yeah, I do like it. One thing I'd say about the current Path to Glory in this edition, I just started one with the Seraph on a number of weeks ago, but I've given up on it already, just purely because it's. I mean, to be fair, I've done like 4 or 5 games, but it's not as fleshed out as it used to be. So you get to a certain point, and you're just like, I'm just kind of gaining abilities here and there, and it doesn't feel that great, if you like.
Doesn't feel like there's much point, does there?
No, basically. But I think with this, a few of these new changes, there's more fleshing out of each of units to make them more individual. I think it's going to be a nice return to Path to Glory. And the other thing that they have teased is they haven't given any info on it, but you're going to be able to create your own hero for Path to Glory campaigns.
I did see some comments on this, but I've not read up on this one yet. So that does sound interesting.
They haven't, like you say, they haven't given really any detail on it anyway. Beyond
surely it's going to be quite restricted. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some like horrific cheese lords, aren't you?
But then I suppose it is narrative.
That's true.
We'll see. But I am really intrigued to kind of see what they do with that. I imagine you're going to kind of have you might be able to random generate ones. It'd be interesting to see how much they flesh it out, because sometimes they say you're allowed to do these things, and then you get like a table with 6 options. So I like to return to the days of Mordheim, where you get a lot of customizability and lots of tables. But
yeah. The Necromunda, the first edition, where you got your gang roster sheet where you could write on, and your gang unlocked new stuff and things like that, and picked up injuries along the way, but no one could stop you evolving your gang. It was awesome.
I really
no internet, so they couldn't issue FAQs and stuff like that. It is what it is. This is my gang. They're hard as nails.
Exactly. No, I'm super excited to see what they do with this. I really am. Because I want to say I don't think we've seen that really in any of the larger games, at least not since very old editions, if we have. So
no, not
to see
really.
what they do with that. Yeah, interested indeed. So that kind of covers the Path to Glory section, at least what we wanted to bring up. Warmaster Bottom says, after playing a game yesterday and rolling a 12 on my Battle Shock, I'm glad that's gone. The changes to Path to Glory also seem cool to try out. In terms of the Battle Shock, they've said Battle Shock is gone. I will mention though, I've seen a few people say this, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't still be some sort of mechanic they haven't told us about yet to do with morale or...
Yeah, there's got to be something to replace it,
there will still be something there. But the fact that they've got rid of Battle Shock has made a lot of people happy, I think. It's just an extra complicated thing to add on to combat that most people I play against forget anyway. So I think, especially for more casual players like myself, I think a lot of people will be quite more than happy with that. I think that is it, though, Si, from everything that we've had written down, that the main ones that people have sent in. So basically, thanks to everybody to getting involved with that. And like I say, what I'll do, guys, I'll put a link in the description to that Reddit post. And if any of you want to go and check out what people have been saying, other things that people have posted, if you want to get involved and post what your favourite thing is, you can do. And obviously, of course, on this video, let us know your thoughts on what we've been kind of bringing up to the changes for 4th edition, what the favourites are. I think kind of included in that are some of my favourite things anyway, so probably nothing else to add, Si, do you think, to things?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, Spearhead was one of my big ones, and I just like the way they've simplified a few different things. So yeah, it's looking good so far. Fingers crossed. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I think that's basically a lot of what people have been saying in the comments, that they're cautiously...
It has the potential to be the best edition yet.
Yes, basically.
Whether it will be is another question, but it's looking good so far.
Yeah, it is. So, with that down and out of the way, I think we do certainly have plenty of time to do our next news topic, which is that we have rumours floating around, and I have to stress that these are rumours, that Warcry is kind of being wound down and is being turned into Mordheim crossed with Necromunda in terms of rules. But in the Mordheim kind of setting in the Mortal Realms, that sort of theme. And that we're going to be getting a new Warcry, Mordheim, whatever they're going to call it, for the new edition of Warcry, whatever it's been rebranded into. And it's going to be a Stormcast Skaven themed skirmish box set. Again, but actually for the new game.
Yeah, I see. If this is true, and let's go with the discussion on the basis that it is true.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, rumors are rumors until they're proved otherwise. Let's go on the basis that it is happening. So Mordheim, obviously, Ruined City. That's your setting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if it is going to be Stormcast and Skaven in the box, perhaps this could be a ruined city where Blight City has erupted from the ground and destroyed a city in Akshi, and then you've got these ruins left over, and everyone's fighting over the ruins, and that could be your start for Warcry. Obviously, with Warcry, it's evolved, hasn't it, and got onto different things, and you get different bits of terrain as it moves on in the different seasons and what have you. So could that? I wonder if that's how they'll do it. So, the Skaven have erupted under a town or a city. It's now in ruins, and everybody's going fighting over the riches of this town. But with a mix of Mordheim, a mix of Necromunda, and who knows what else. I mean, if it is true, great. They have
it
got rid
makes
of
a lot of sense.
Well, the other smoking gun is, what have they just got rid of?
I was going to bring this up, so I'm glad you did anyway.
A load of Warcry warbands, some of which we looked at a couple of weeks ago in the podcast and said, hang about, they're fairly recent. Why are they going? Hang about, why are they going? This could make more sense now, because if they are getting rid of Warcry, it would then make sense to get rid of some of the Warcry warbands.
Yeah, and the Chaos specific ones, because one of the things they set out with, which I wasn't a fan on, I'll be honest, they've tried to stick with Warcry with this kind of Chaos theme, because it's based around the 8 points, obviously. So you've got these different Chaos worshipper following groups or warbands.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? They've run that narrative to the ground, into the ground now, haven't
they? So surely you cannot carry on that for another edition, and I think that's why that kind of fits this. And if you're going to reboot Warcry, whether you call it like you could even call it Warcry Mordheim or whatever, or like you said earlier, Vermin Doom or something.
Well, it'll be whatever it'll be. I think it'll be a single word thing again. It'll be like something along the lines of Warcry. Well, not a single word, but you know what I mean. Something similar, something simple that you could just rattle off the tongue, like Kill Team is a simple thing. You say Kill Team, everybody knows what it is. Warcry, everyone knows what it is.
I've been thinking to myself for a number of years, since we obviously had, what's the game with where you're killing all the Skaven video game? I've forgotten it now.
Vermintide.
Vermintide, yeah. Ever since they've been releasing those games, and they've been quite successful to my knowledge, considering they've done sequels, etc. I've always thought, like, since we've gone into sort of Age of Sigmar new editions, and you've got the Mortal Realms now, how they haven't done a game more based on that, and how they haven't rebooted Mordheim now that Skaven are even more built into sort of the Mortal Realms. And obviously, since now we've got Skaven coming in big time with 4th edition, I think it completely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they call it, I don't think it'll have to be something that's not specific to a certain race or faction, won't it? I would have said.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
And I mean, like I say, if they're scrapping all these Chaos specific warbands, they can still keep the other faction specific ones. So like the Seraphon had one. I picked up their what's it called? The Chameleon Skink warband, Hunters of Poachi, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
So they can still keep those and just add to those and put it into this new kind of Mordheim-esque setting in the Mortal Realms.
Yeah,
I think it works perfectly. And to be honest, if the rumors are true and these new designers are kind of building between sort of obviously the Warcry rules we have, I imagine, which I'll be honest, it's a very, very simple game. So for a lot of people, it's too simple.
I've never played it.
Yeah, I know, but just from my own kind of experience, I'd probably keep some of it that people like, or that I personally what I would like to keep from it, and then combine with sort of a lot of the narrative stuff we had from the old Mordheim. That's what a lot of people loved from that. And then you sort of look at like Necromunda taking some of the game mechanics from that as well, and that's the rumours that they're going to be kind of crossing some of these things over. And I'm not going to lie, I do like a lot of those ideas, and if those do get crossed over, you're going to have a very nice baby. So,
well, I know you've already got your Mordheim mention in there. You did that with about 5 minutes in. So,
yeah. I used to love Mordheim, so I would love to see like a new Mordheim inspired kind of set with like like you say, ruined buildings.
I think it'd sell pretty well.
Infested stuff. I definitely think it would. And some of the terrain actually that I loved recently that came out, the pits that they released for the Skaven. And you kind of got like the say again.
The Moor Pits. Do you mean those?
Yeah, they're called Moor Pits or something like that. Although maybe Moor Pits was ogres. more pits is, I
Oh
think.
yeah, no, yeah.
I know what you
Which
mean,
ones
but
do
you
you
know
mean?
what I mean, I think. So there's like, I think you get 2 or 3 in a set, and they're like, you have Skaven scaffolding over the top of like these kind of pits of like, almost like acid or something. They almost
Oh, I
look
know.
like
Yeah, I
holes in the
can't. I don't
ground.
know what they're called, but I know what you
They're
mean.
awesome looking kind of. I'll put a picture up now on editing, but they are cool terrain piece, and I can see that sort of stuff mixed in with new terrain for like a Mordheim Mortal Realms-esque kind of set.
Yeah.
I think that could be pretty awesome. So yeah, we'll be excited to see if it happens in the near future. And I think, you know, coming off of 4th edition and all that exciting release, maybe end of the year after Christmas time, we might see a cool new announcement for something like that. And we are due the new edition probably, I think, next year for Warcry. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe we will see that announced in the near future and tie it into the new edition of Sigmar. But let us know, guys, down in the comments below what your thoughts are on that. If you'd be excited to see that, let us know. But this week, guys, given the number of kind of different topics we wanted to bring up, and we just had that topic there, I wanted to leave it this week for community questions and to let you guys kind of send in any more if you wanted to as well. Just give you guys an extra week. We do kind of take a break from it every now and again. So if you want to get in any of your community questions, drop comments down below this video. Your own topics you want to bring up for us to discuss, we'll do it on a podcast. And sometimes I'll segregate into smaller videos and put them up for you guys to watch individually if you don't want to watch the full podcasts episodes.
Yeah, we've had some good ones recently, haven't we?
Yeah, I had some good fun ones to put up. And also, guys, obviously, like I say, link in the description below to our Discord. Jump over to there, and we've got a section there where you can add in your community questions as well. So yeah, I look forward to seeing if any of you add those in. But Si, I know it is just yourself this week, but
Flying
we will
solo.
do solo flying, holding down the fort for you and Ben this week for Warhammer 20 questions. So I've been
Here we
kind
go.
this week. I've been kind
I was
this
going to
week.
say, as long as it's not like some random Inquisitor's brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, dog's toaster that I don't know the name of, but
No, don't
happen to
worry.
have one little paragraph in it, White Dwarf 81.
No, I know I
Alright.
said last week, guys, but this was unexpected this week, that I was going to start over again with those people who a while ago we had send in 2 each. But last week or the week before, we had Jose send in a couple, and the other one he sent in was kind of a slightly friendlier option to choose. So I've actually chosen Jose's second option for this
All
week.
right, excellent. Double whammy.
Yeah, basically. So just to explain, guys, if you're new to the podcast, what Warhammer 20 Questions is, we end the show with it every week, every episode. And essentially, it's usually Si and Ben or guest as well who have to ask me yes or no questions to try and work out what character or unit I'm thinking of, or a viewer sends in a suggestion for a character or unit that they wanted to suggest. And you've got to try and figure out who it is. They can be in the lore, they can have a model, they can not have a model, etc. And they'll try and narrow it down. They get 19 questions, and the 20th one has to be their guess, basically.
And if we work it out earlier, we usually ask him stupid questions just to try and make him laugh.
Basically just turn it into a daft kind of conversation instead. So, yeah, be interesting to kind of see hear Si if you can get this one this week. But I think that's all you need to know. Let the questioning begin.
Okay, I'll go with my usual then. Does this character or unit reside in the 41st millennium?
No, that's one.
Okay. Does this character or unit have a model?
Yes, they do.
Are they from the old world, or world that was?
Yeah, they're from the old world. That's 3.
Okay. Are they human?
No, that's 4.
Are they green skin?
No, that's 5.
Oh god, we could go through them all here. Are they undead?
Nope.
Thank God for that.
You're only on 6, so you got more you can ask anyway.
Are they elven?
No. Starting to narrow it down though. That's 7.
Are they a rat?
No.
It'll be the last one, guaranteed. Do they like mining? Are they a dwarf?
Yes. They dig holes.
Oh, he's not here. You know he'd be singing it.
I know he would. Yeah. You can
Okay.
still hear the echoes in the far distance.
You can, can't you?
That's 9, by the way.
Is this a legendary dwarf hero?
It is. That's 10.
Okay.
Halfway.
Would you say he rules with an iron fist?
No. That's 11.
All right. Okay, it's not who I thought it was. Does this particular person have a bar named after him in Nottingham?
No. That's 12.
Oh, it's not Joseph Bugman then.
No, it's not Bugman.
Okay, so dwarf doesn't rule, doesn't have an iron fist, so and he doesn't brew beer. I think I know who it is.
Okay.
Has he been spotted in various different outfits over the years?
No. No.
Okay.
That's not who you're probably thinking of.
It's not the white dwarf then. I thought it was going to be that one because he's just had a new model. Right. So the only other. Oh. Has he been in multiple books that we've mentioned on this podcast many times?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Has he got a mate called Felix?
He does. Yeah. He does. Yeah.
Is it Gotrek?
It is Gotrek. It is.
Yay!
It is Gotrek Gurnason. Yeah. Suggested by Jose, of course. Like I say,
I'm glad
we've had him on many a time. Yeah, we've had him on many a time in recent weeks, haven't we? So I thought he'd definitely be one you could get. So without a doubt, a cool one to bring up there, Jose, and it worked well for this week, to be honest. So nice one bringing him up, and he does have an absolutely gorgeous model as well. So without a doubt,
can you still get that model? Is it still available?
I want to say you can. Hard to say because a lot of those ones are kind of limited edition, aren't they? But I think you still can, but I could be wrong on that. I'm sure people will let us know down in the comments.
You know, if Ben was on the podcast now, he'd turn round, pick it up off his shelf,
just
and go,
grab
this
it.
one.
I do have it, but it's like not within grabbing distance. So, but yeah, gorgeous model on it, and like I say, I'm gonna get the new White Dwarf model Gomrindel to kind of put with him, I think, and then I'll put them all on my desk for future podcasts. That'd be cool. But yeah, certainly one of my favourite characters in the lore as well. Currently, I'm still working my way through the audiobooks, the original ones. So we'll look forward to
I need to read them again. I've only read the first 3.
Do you like audiobooks much?
Yeah, I do actually. I just I should listen to them more because it takes me about 50 minutes to get to work every day, so there's plenty of time to be listening to one.
Yeah, it's a similar situation I'm in with work. So, but I recommend the audiobooks for the Gotrek series because they are the Slayer series because the guy who does the voices, especially the voice for Gotrek, is like absolutely wicked. Just so fitting for it. So I definitely recommend that, and anybody who's listening, I recommend downloading those as well. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion, Jose. And as I say, guys, as always, please do send in so we've got more options, and we'd like to see new people and new suggestions for Warhammer 20 questions. Your favourite unit or character, or just anything you want to suggest to send in. Hopefully we'll have Ben back next week as well, and we'll have guests on soon again as well, to kind of try and guess your characters or units that you've sent in. So we'll look forward to see what ones you give.
He'll be annoyed he's missed that one.
I know he will, yeah. But I mean, we'll definitely bring up, guys, if you're regular listeners, part of the community, don't worry, your second suggestions will be brought up in future weeks, so no worries about that. We will get around to them. But otherwise, so I think that's us for this week, really. A shorter episode than usual, actually, with it just being the two of us.
Yeah.
Rather unusual. It feels weird, doesn't it? But there we go. Si, where can people sort of find you before we finish up, and what are you sort of up to at the moment? I know we're coming into Mental Health Awareness Week, so I know there's stuff going on with that.
Yeah, usual place. So you can find me on YouTube as @HobbyWaffle, and then same again for Twitter and Instagram. I still call it Twitter, not X. Latest video that I've just done is an unboxing review of the cards and building the Bad Batch for Star Wars Shatterpoint. Awesome. I know they don't get a lot of views, them videos, but I don't care about that. I just want to do the videos because they're fun to do. Yeah. Next video I'm working on is I've got another White Dwarf retro read through because I've not done one of them for a while. and then I want to do something like you said for Mental Health Week. So maybe a couple of videos on that. I'm just trying to work out what I want to do, and make sure it's something that's going to be beneficial rather than just waffling on and doing something for the sake of doing it. So that's the main focus. And then hopefully with this preview show that's coming up as well, maybe we'll do a predictions video as well. Other than that, tabletop wise, I'm still working on my Blood Bowl Gnome team, some Shatterpoint stuff, and chipping away at the Tomb Kings nice and slowly as well. Still got to get them sorted.
We'll both be doing that.
They just seem to go on forever, which is quite thematic for Tomb Kings.
I haven't started to build any of the horsemen yet, and I've heard that the horses are just a nightmare to put together.
Yeah, the horses they've not changed over the years. They're still a swine to put together.
So I'm not particularly looking forward to that, but we'll wait and see.
Just use super glue. Just cheat. Don't use plastic glue. Or use both.
Exactly.
Just put plastic glue and super glue on it. Once it's together, it's together. It's stopping there.
But yeah, do go and check out Size Unboxing, guys. Like I say, that's on the channel. And then, as I just hinted at, next week is Mental Health Awareness Week. And it has big ties to our hobby. A lot of us take part in the hobby to kind of subdue those sort of things, mental health, and it helps our mental health. And then there's sort of the other side of it where it can also go against it. So we're going to kind of sort of be spreading awareness next week. So definitely make sure to join us next week and share around the podcast next week, because it's a big one, and it's something before we even started this podcast and we came up with the idea of it that we really wanted to cover. And we thought, well, the first Mental Health Week this year, at least in the UK, we'll do a big episode on it then. And like I said, we'll also, second half of the show, we'll do some predictions for the new US Open reveals weekend. So a good one coming up next week, guys. Definitely make sure to join us for that. Otherwise, make sure you're, of course, subscribed to the channel, throw a like on the video, and leave comments down below, guys. Let us know if you've enjoyed this week, and like I say, hopefully share around and show me and Si some love this week, because we fell down the fort for sure. And then also Spotify, guys. Follow us over there if you want the audio-only version. Much love, much appreciated. And of course, join us over on the Discord. Bring in your community questions and suggestions, and join us in the chat during the week. We'd love to see you over there. Links will be in the description below, guys, for all of that good stuff. But until next week, I think that's us, Si, for this week. So until next week, guys, happy wargaming.
See ya.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.